Hey guys, welcome back to the workshop and welcome back to another Flea Market Finds episode. This is a Flea Market Finds episode of stuff I picked on April 18th. I ended up hitting a flea market I haven't been to in quite a few years here in Massachusetts. I wanted to go to my regular stomping grounds. They had their grand opening on Easter Sunday, and you guys had seen that pick. And well, lo and behold, what ended up happening was we get a little bit of snow, and the field conditions weren't good. The roads really muddy and everything, so they were closed for the next couple of weeks. I headed out on bright and early on April 18th for that show, only to find out that they were still not open. So I rerouted to this other show and ended up getting some picks. So I got a few machinist tools. We'll dive into some nice finds there, and then I'm going to show you something that I don't normally buy. It actually is computer related. I ended up buying them. First I was going to buy one of them because the guy had four, and I was going to buy one for use here at the house. And then I decided it was such a good deal. I knew I'd get a really good deal if I offered him, one money for the four. Now that I did a little bit of research on these things, I think they're a little overkill for what I want to do here at the house. So, I'll explain when I get to those. But right now, let's take a look at some of these flea market finds of machinist tools. So initially, I didn't hold out much hope for this flea market because when I first started looking around, I didn't see much. I had heard from somebody else that there was a gentleman who sets up there that has a lot of machinist items, and I did run into his table and bought a couple of items from him. But a lot of the stuff that he had, it was pretty much used retail price. So unless it was something I thought I could use for myself, I didn't really go for it. But one of the things that I did get a deal on, and actually it was on the way out. Initially, I talked to him about this, and I forgot what he quoted me initially for this thing. And what ended up happening was I had bought a couple of other items from him, and then I went and looked around. And then as I was walking on my way out of the flea market, I went back by his table, and I shot him my my final offer on this thing at that point, and he went for it. So what this is a demagnetizer, and I ended up getting this for $20. I think he wanted 30. The reality is there's no manufacturer's name anywhere on this, so I have no idea who made this thing. But there is a fairly generic looking one that I've seen on eBay sell for like $30 used and $50 new. And it's got a different sticker on it, but the sticker's in the same location and the rocker switch is in the same location. I think the physical size might be about the same too. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is like a cheaper import one. This one looks like it might have a little bit of age to it. Of course, I had no way of testing it. It does turn on and it makes a humming noise, which would indicate the transformer or the ballast inside is working. So I would venture to guess that it's working, but why don't we just do a quick demonstration. So why would you want a demagnetizer? Well, there's a few things you can do with a demagnetizer. For instance, say you have a bothersome videotape of you doing something that you really would rather not there ever being a record of having been done. Well, you could take that tape, stick it right on top of here, and fire this puppy up and solve your problems. Or maybe there's a wedding video you need to get rid of. No, never mind. So let me just grab something. So if you use steel tooling, high-speed tooling in your shop, you know that they have a tendency to become slightly magnetic. And the problem with that is that the swarf and chips tend to want to stick to them. Sometimes you want to get that magnetism to go away. So although the generic term for this is a demagnetizer because it takes away the magnetic properties that are inherent or that are currently in whatever you stick on it, the proper term for this is a degausser. And that is got an interesting spelling. So degaussing is a reference to removing or minimizing a magnetic field, and it comes from the unit Gauss, which is a unit of measure of the strength of the magnetic field. And the Gauss comes from the scientist Carl Friedrich Gauss. It's named after that dude. So he was a pretty smart dude and he figured out some stuff. So the original use of this technology, degaussing, was actually used on ships' hulls back in World War II to try and minimize their magnetic signature. I guess that would actually maybe help them not show up so much on radar, or I'm not exactly sure about all that technical mumbo jumbo, but all we need to know is that this doohickey right here is going to use AC voltage to hopefully remove or at least minimize the strength of the magnetic field that has built up, the magnetism that has built up on this high-speed steel cutter. So first we're going to show that this piece is magnetized, in case you thought I glued those things on. Now I'm going to hopefully demagnetize this. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to place it on top of the platform and fire this thing up for about 10 seconds. And then I'm going to lift it slowly up straight off the top of it without turning it off. Now, I'm going to bring over my swarf that I was picking up before, and notice, voila, I can no longer pick up the swarf. Like magic. So yeah, I think I'm going to hold on to that. That'll be a handy thing to have. I like it. Next, I came across a dealer who had a bunch of mostly, normal types of home tools and stuff. But I did find, after picking through some stuff, I did find this nice tap wrench right here, which it's got a good look to it, like a name brand tap wrench. Like a Union, Butterfield, or a Greenfield, or GTD or whatever, but it is actually completely unmarked from what, oh, hold on a second here. No, it's a card. I don't know why I thought this was unmarked. So this is actually, oh, you know what? Probably didn't see it when I was looking at it. And I don't think he did either, because I think he mentioned that there were no markings on it. But this is a card number 10. Okay, so this is a decent one. I think this might, I can't remember now. A card might be Canadian? Maybe not. Anyways, got a card number 10 tap wrench. I got this tap wrench, which looks like a Starrett. This one also we believed was unmarked. And we're still believing this one is unmarked. Give a little bit of a closer look at this one. It's actually kind of a nice one. So I'm not sure what number Starrett this would be very similar to. Actually, I think it's more similar to a small Greenfield. And these 4 punches, I think there were a couple others there, but they were really even in worse shape than these. So that one, you get a little bit of a... This one's good for going around corners. Okay. This one's got a little bit of a waviness to it too. That one is fairly straight, but the back's a little mushroomed, and that one's also pretty well worn. But still got some life left in them. And I gave $20 for this lot. So I figure, I'm into the tap wrenches for $5 a piece, and then well, actually no, and then it means I paid $10 for these beat punches. So I guess we'll go with I don't know. We'll figure it out somehow. But I'm sure I'll make a couple bucks on it. Not gonna get rich for sure. Hell, I might even keep these as beater punches for myself. I don't know. The guy I bought the Demagnetizer from on the way out, what I was able to buy from him was this interrapid indicator. Okay, this must be a 312, right? That's a 312B-2, so that's a 0.5 indicator. It's kind of scratched up, and it's sick. It's got some serious issues. This whole nose right here is very loose, and it's not moving The dial's not moving at all. The body and the dovetails are actually pretty decent. So because it's broken, I got this for $5. Essentially, I got this and this magnifier that I forgot how much he wanted for initially. I was able to get him to take $10 for the pair of these. So I'm into both of these for $5. This is a Peak. Never heard of this brand. Magnifier. Peak Loop 10 Power. And so this is the style that clearly looks like it's made for like maybe photographers who are looking at negatives and things like that, where you actually would, you'd have whatever it is you want to magnify and you'd put this down and do one of these deals here. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of neat. Probably have too many of these little magnifiers lying around as it is, but the main thing is, even just for parts, I think this is worth $5. So it's kind of interesting on eBay. These Peak loops, magnifiers, you can buy them brand new pretty cheap. I mean, really cheap. But they're this style. But if you scroll down, if you're sorting by price, when you start getting into the ones that have the little case like this, which must be an earlier one, now we're getting, $28. And that was actually an auction, so that actually people bidded on that. 4 bids on that, drove it up to 28. There's one right there without the case, looks like brand new, 27. There's another used one though, see? Made in Japan, which mine is marked made in Japan, $40. So maybe that's the difference, Maybe now they're not made in Japan, where mine is clearly marked Japan on the back. So I ran into a dealer that I normally see at the flea market I had intended on going to, and he had also planned on selling and decided to hit this flea market and set up there. He occasionally has some machinist items. He didn't really have too much, but then I saw a machinist toolbox, and it was actually a Starrett metal machinist tool chest, the top chest. It was clean as a whistle. He wanted $150 for it because that's about what he had gotten for the last one of those he had. But I had no interest in it. I've got my Kennedys. I'm happy with those. So went through the drawers and came across some indicators that were in there in various states of needing help. And normally probably wouldn't have bothered with these, but they are Starretts and they do have some potential. So I ended up asking him for a price on these, and we kind of went back and forth, and in the end he decided to take $40 for the 4 of them. So I'm into these for $10 a piece. Start with the 2 larger, more normal sized, for lack of a better term. These are 25-111s. These are a pretty common indicator, drop indicator, Starrett. So this has got some kind of funky issue with it, because there we go. So this is just sticking. Doesn't seem too bad though. The crystal is really dirty. We'll try and clean that in a second. But the biggest problem with these 2 are that they're missing the backs. So I might actually have an extra back or 2 laying around. I'm going to have probably a harder time finding the screws. Well, same thing with this one. Backs off of it. This one actually works perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. And we got this cute little sucker right here. Oh, those are both 25-111s. We got this little sucker right here. This is also a tenths. These are all tenths. 0.0001 resolution. So we get this little cutie right here. And this one works perfectly. And this one has a back to it. I might actually have a hole gauge that this might be perfect for. And then here's another one, the same as that one, I believe. Oh, no, it's a little bit different style. This one's got the lug back on it. So, just clean these real quick. I can tell this one's going to clean up nice. I know what you're thinking, Steve. Could you find a dirtier rag to clean those with? Well, I probably could. But this is dirty enough. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, I tell you. All right. So this is what I was thinking of. A while back, I picked this up and I never ended up selling it because I thought, well, I should hold out and put the right indicator in it because this is a, excuse me, this is a Starrett bore gauge, small hole gauge. And it's not complete, obviously, but one of the most glaring issues that I saw with it, or I considered to be a problem, is that it's got this federal indicator on it. So initially, I thought, well, maybe somebody took a federal bore gauge and just stuck it in this box. But I was like, boy, that fits in there perfectly the way the box is made. So then it occurred to me that, I went and looked in the catalog, and I think I found a Starrett bore indicator, a bore gauge that looked identical to this. And I realized, no, somebody just must have changed this indicator. This has even got this style back on it, which is, not really what you would expect. I would expect, actually, this guy right here with the flat back to go in here. You see how this sits in here? That should sit like that, yeah. So I think this is going to be the correct indicator for this. So all you got to do, it's painfully simple. If you have the right size wrench that fits on these flats right here, is you unscrew this. But you loosen this locking nut right here, and this will come out, and it's a regular drop indicator that just goes right in there. So I'll probably be able to put this together with this, and I haven't decided if I'm going to keep this set. I don't know how many of these are supposed to be in here, these attachments. There's one on there and 3 extras, so there's 4 total in here, and it looks like maybe it came with 6 or 7, I don't know. I'm thinking these probably were, well, one of these is probably a wrench for that, and then, yeah, I bet you there was a wrench here for this nut, and then there was probably a wrench here for the tips, and then, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure I could find a picture in the Starrett catalog somewhere. Oh, it actually says right here, it's a catalog number 82A, and it says here, there are 5 probes that are supposed to be with it. So it's only missing 1. Oh, that's not bad. Yep, just swapped it out, no problem. It's working fine. So, just had to change the, when I first put this indicator in there, it wouldn't work. And then I realized, oh, it's because there was a longer contact point on this one. So I just swapped them out. All right, nice. And now we come to the last item I purchased at this particular flea market. And again, nothing machinist related at all, and actually something completely out of my realm of expertise. So I came across this guy in the indoor building at this flea market who was doing all kinds of computer stuff and whatnot. He had just piles of equipment laying around, and on the floor in the corner, it looked like they had just recently brought in this whole stack of these network switches. And he had a Netgear one, and then there was another brand, I forgot what that was, and then he had 4 of these. And I'm not familiar with this company because I'm not a network guy, but this is an Enterasys 24-port switch. So I had been thinking about getting one of these switches for the house, not necessarily something like this, but just like a small, inexpensive switch, because I want to start transferring over more and more of the computers in the house to use the Ethernet cables that are in the house. It's Cat5 cable, and get away from the Wi-Fi basically for a number of different good reasons. I asked about the Netgear one, which was the cleanest looking one of the bunch, and he said, like $30. I thought about it, and then I actually went outside and I ended up using my phone because I was curious about these. And I did a little bit of checking, and come to find out, these were very expensive when they were new. And this switch had something a little bit different that the other switches didn't have. The other switches tended to be what I think are, I don't know if they called it 10 base 100. I don't remember exactly the terminology, but it has something to do with the switch. So it's a 10/100 switch, and it has something to do with the speed. And this switch, this model, was the only one of those three different models there that was 10/100/1000. So this has the capability of being much faster. So I asked about this one here, and he said probably $30 for this one too. And so I was going to pay the 30 for this one. And then I thought, I bet you he'd be willing to make a deal and unload all of these. I said, what if I take all of them? And he said, all six? And I said, well, no, these four. And in the end, he accepted $50 for these 4 switches. The funny thing is, you can still find new old stock ones of these on Amazon and that, but they're over $1,200. And the original prices are still kind of floating around, but they're, of course, it just says unavailable, out of stock. And when these first came out, I guess they were $4,000. Something crazy like that. Right now, these in good working condition apparently trade for around $80 on eBay. So I figured I'm probably okay at $50 for the 4 of them. But now that I've started to look into them a little bit more deeply, I realize that these are way above my pay grade. That this is way overkill. For starters, apparently my router, not the wireless router, my my modem that's supplied by the cable company that supplies our internet. Apparently the speed that's capable of can't even approach what this is capable of, so this is overkill. Also, back when I built this house, I put all Cat 5 cable in. Apparently now they have Cat 6 or Cat 7 or 8 or whatever, I don't know, but I guess my wires aren't even fast enough to support the speeds that this thing's capable of. Not to mention, this is a 24-port switch, so even if I just kept one of these for myself, I've got more than enough ports than a lot. This is just overkill. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to try and unload these 4 switches to somebody who can actually use them, and buy myself a more safe and sane and easier to operate switch that doesn't require the level of programming and mumbo jumbo that this thing apparently is capable of or may need. In other words, I don't think I could just plug and play with this thing. I think this has to be interfaced with a computer, and the computer is used to set the programming, and I don't know, a bunch of other mumbo jumbo. He included a box with a lot of cables. See these 4 little funky ports over here? I think I got a couple of the things that plug into these, which I think might add wireless capability, or a way to wirelessly link a laptop to this for programming, or I don't know. Like I said, that's how much of a noob I am when it comes to networking. So whatever the heck these things are for, I don't remember. On the back, there's these big funky plugs here that say stack up and stack down. I think these might have something to do with literally stacking multiple switches on top of each other and linking them together. It says something weird on the back here about redundant power supply, 55 volts. Yet it uses a standard D-type plug right here, 120 volt AC going in. But I think it might be so you can actually maybe feed 120 volts to just one of these and then run the other ones off of the power supply internal to one of these, or I don't know. So this is the box that he included with this thing. So they had 3 of these D plugs, all wire tied together, neatly bundled to power this thing up, which is weird because there's 4 of them. Oh, and these look like, yeah, these are the the plugs that go into those stack up, stack down deals. And I don't know why there's only 2 of them. Maybe originally there were more, but these are those things that plug into those weird ports. So I got 2 of these things. This says Webstone on it. I don't know if that's the name of a company that these came out of or what. And there's a model number on the side here. And this is a GBIC, gigabyte something. There's some computer savvy guys out there laughing their butts off right now watching me try and figure out what the hell I got here. So I don't really know what this is. I did look them up on eBay, and they're not really worth much. But you know, I'll throw those in with whoever buys the switches from me. Hopefully, I could sell these locally because they're kind of heavy. I don't want to have to ship them, but if that's the only way I'm going to be able to sell them, that's the way, and that's what I'll do. And then he also had 2 big binders full of software, and it just came in with it. This all came out. The story goes the guy was upgrading his whole system, so he took out all of those, and those books came with it. And then I'm starting to look through them, and they're loaded with all this Microsoft software and stuff that I don't even think has anything to do with the network necessarily, but you know, it has to do with like just making sure that all the servers have Microsoft Office or this or that or the other thing. I don't even remember what's on some of that software. Yeah, so anyways, I need a shave. All right, so that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. I think the next Flea Market Find segment is going to feature some picks that I got at the Tractor Flea Market. That's one that I haven't been to in quite a while because of COVID. They kept canceling it. And I finally get to go to the spring show and got some interesting deals there. And that's what'll be that will be coming up probably within a week of the posting of this one. All right. So, till next time, take care.